Les gens, les boxeurs qui ont un style très agressif, ils ont toujours ces t-shirts un peu à la Tyson, là, les shorts du cou, un petit peu.
And what I say you must obey, just like the both of you took my
Et là, Vargas, c'est son milieu. Ah, c'est un repos au fort.
Eh ouais, le crochet au foie, il a touché.
Ah, c'est un repos au fort.
Pendant Bigua, encore un rouge.
Et là, c'est
très dur là, Garcia a arrêté.
oui, forcément, elle remet un genou au sol.
Et alors, regarde son point. Ça va dans tous les sens, la part des deux boxeuses. Et tout ça par du bon point. Et la touche par du bon point. Elle a du mal, Viviane.
Et elle a du mal à récupérer. Il va toucher.
Let's start with this. Well, I'm sure that most of you have heard by now that Mikey Garcia has crossed over to the DAZN side of the street.
Yeah, I did.
And that in all likelihood, he's going to be squaring off against Jesse Vargas late February for what is his DAZN debut. He's supposed to be making something like $7 million for this fight. And that in and of itself makes it a savvy business move, win or lose, because who else was going to give you $7 million to fight Jesse Vargas? Who else was going to do that? Showtime?
No.
Fox?
No word.
ESPN? You think they would have put up that kind of money for a Jesse Vargas fight? You understand? I got nothing against Jesse Vargas. This is not a slight at the fighters. It's just that certain matchups draw certain crowds, and for that kind of a price tag, you know, when it comes to Mikey Garcia, okay, you're gonna have to fight somebody really fucking good for these networks to put up that kind of money, whereas DAZN is willing, because according to them, they know that Mikey Garcia brings in the numbers. They're a data-driven business, and based on the facts, based on the stats, Mikey Garcia brings in numbers. I'll tell you that I don't view the Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas fight as a bad fight at all. In all honesty, I think it's a better fight than advertised on the surface.
We'll get into why later.
But this does leave certain questions to be answered, doesn't it? Because every single Mikey Garcia fight in recent memory has been on the PBC side of the street with PBC-affiliated networks, whether it's Showtime or Fox. That's where he's been.
For a while now.
Ever since he parted ways with Top Rank, that's the first place he went. He went to the PBC, stayed there, been there ever since. So why all of a sudden is he deciding to leave the PBC? Apparently this Jesse Vargas fight, right, is going to be at welterweight. And it just so happens that most of the talent in the welterweight division is actually dominated by the PBC.
We know.
So what left him so inclined to leave them for DAZN when, for all intents and purposes, as far as welterweights, you were supposedly in the right place and you want to get a Pacquiao fight? Well, Pacquiao, he's on that side of the street.
Yeah.
And that allows me to allude to my point. Yeah, Pacquiao's there right now, but for how long? Let me show you something. Come here, look at this, okay? Got Chris Mannix, right? He's talking about all the different stuff that we're talking about right now. But if you look at the highlighted portion of his tweet, it reads, "Don't be surprised to see Eddie Hearn pursue a Garcia versus Pacquiao clash in 2020 after Pacquiao's next fight." Well, why's it got to be after Pacquiao's next fight? Well, word around the campfire seems to be that little old Manny Pacquiao, Senator Manny Pacquiao, he's only got one fight left on that PBC contract of his. After that's up, he's a free agent. Go where he wants, do what he wants. Not that he hasn't been doing that already, you know? And DAZN's got the kind of money to entice the likes of a Manny Pacquiao. I mean, they enticed Canelo Alvarez, didn't he? He was one of the biggest pay-per-view draws, if not the biggest pay-per-view draw left in the American pay-per-view market. They had enough money to get that guy to cross over to their side of things. So who's to say that they don't got the kind of money that'll get Manny to do the exact same thing after that PBC contract is up? You know, DAZN isn't making empty promises to these guys. They're giving them guaranteed cash. These guys don't gotta worry about the pay-per-view doing this set of numbers or that set of numbers or those set of numbers to make a big profit. DAZN is guaranteeing the cash. As the proverb goes, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Okay, that's the ideology, that's the logic. So for a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who's really only sticking around for big paydays, you understand, you're not going to get that big a payday with a Sean Porter.
Nah.
Or Yordenis Ugas.
Nah.
You're not going to get big paydays with those guys.
You're not.
You didn't want to fight Crawford when you were on the same side of the street as him. I don't think you want to fight him now, and he's over there Top Rank. You left those guys, okay? The Errol Spence fight, you know, who knows what the condition of that guy is, right? Right? Hey, Pacquiao's got one fight left in his PBC contract, And that fight might end up being against Danny Garcia after Danny fights Ivan Redkach early next year. That's right. After that, you might have that Pacquiao fight. And after that fight's over, if Manny wins, that opens the door for him to cross over to DAZN. And who's over there at DAZN? Mikey Garcia's over there at DAZN. That might be why this Jesse Vargas fight is a welterweight contest. Jesse Vargas is moving down for this fight. You know, Mikey Garcia is better suited to fight as a 140-pound fighter, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you ask me. And this Jesse Vargas fight, it would have been an ideal fight to have before he fought Errol Spence. As it turns out, it's happening afterwards. I've said that before. It's happening now. So he does appear to still be trying to acclimate to the welterweight division, coming off this loss to Errol Spence. He's still there at welterweight, you understand? He's still there. Leaves the door open for Pacquiao versus Garcia. That's right. Could happen that way. The kind of timeline we're looking at is basically a year's time. Could be a year before we see Manny Pacquiao lock horns with the likes of a Mikey Garcia. It could be that way because the Garcia versus Redkach fight, the Danny Garcia versus Ivan Redkach fight, that's early next year, right? Danny wins that fight. Danny's open to fight Manny Pacquiao. You hypothesize that Danny and Manny have that fight sometime in late spring, early summer. You know, let's say, okay? We're just gonna say it. Let's just say Manny wins that fight. You know, sometime late spring, early summer. All right? Contract's up. He's done. He's done with the PBC. He can do what he wants. Is the PBC gonna guarantee, emphasis on guarantee, Manny, kind of money that he wants, kind of money that the DAZN's got, right? They gonna guarantee him that kind of money? Because if they don't, well, he can go right over there to DAZN, get whatever big cash offer they make him to have that Mikey Garcia fight on his side of things, okay? And that could be going down towards the end of 2020. A lot of moving parts in this end game, this master plan, but you can more or less see that that's what these guys are trying to do, that the end game for all this shit, all these moves, if you want to know what the end game is, it's Mikey Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao. And that definitely could give them a boost in subscribers because Manny Pacquiao still has a lot of fucking fans, okay? Think about it this way. PBC has staged all these different pay-per-views, right? $75 a pop, folks, okay? You got Wilder on pay-per-view, you got Spence and Porter on pay-per-view, you got Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view. But out of all the different pay-per-views they got, Manny's the ones that are really driving up sales. He's literally putting up the biggest pay-per-view numbers for the PBC at this point in the juncture. So if you got people out there across America that are willing to pay $75 to see you fight, Keith Thurman and Adrian Broner, they're willing to pay that. I'm pretty fucking sure they'd be even more willing to pay the DAZN subscription prices, which are far less than what you gotta pay for one fucking fight on one fucking night. Manny Pacquiao could definitely boost their numbers. The same is true with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia's pay-per-view with Errol Spence did better numbers than Spence's pay-per-view with Sean Porter, even though the Porter fight was a much better, much more evenly matched fight in terms of sales and driving up revenue. The Garcia fight did that more than the Porter fight did, okay? Mikey Garcia has got Mexican-American fans, and anyone with their hands on the pulse of boxing knows. In America, Mexican-American fans drive revenue. Let me tell you something about this cookie and how it could crumble. Because depending on how the cookie crumbles, the PBC could be dished out a devastating blow. They've already lost Mikey Garcia, you understand? He's already gone. He's on the DAZN side of the street. Had he not gone over to the DAZN side of the street, what they could have tried to do was match Mikey against what other welterweights they got. You know, your Sean Porter, your Yordenis Ugas, maybe your Danny Garcia, provided that Danny doesn't get the Pacquiao fight, even though in all likelihood he might. You know, but you could have did that whilst trying to build up Mikey Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao. You know, maybe you could have matched Mikey against Robert Guerrero with somebody. Let him bounce back with that guy. He's still floating around for some reason. He says he wants big names. Mikey's got a name. You know, they could have did that whilst trying to build the Pacquiao fight. But that window has shut, and that ship has sailed. It's gone. Because Mikey's on the DAZN side of things. And you still got Manny. Yeah, you still got him. But for how long? One more fight? You might try to build that Danny Garcia fight as a pay-per-view, and it might actually be a pay-per-view success. Not so much because of Danny, but because of Manny. But after that, You know Manny Pacquiao's not interested in fighting the likes of a Yordenis Ugas, right? Or a Sean Porter, or an Errol Spence, provided he even comes back. Boo Boy Fernandez, Sean Gibbons, they let it be known. Those are high-risk, low-reward fights, and that's not what they want for their guy at 40 fucking years old. I tried to tell you guys this, that history was repeating itself, that Manny didn't want to fight Crawford when Manny was a younger guy, okay? When they were both on the same side of the street, he wasn't in any hurry to fight that guy. So what the fuck makes you think he was in some kind of hurry to fight Errol Spence? You guys are drinking the Kool-Aid behind what propaganda and what false information these other channels that are out there are giving you. Because both Sean Gibbons, who's Manny Pacquiao's manager, and Boo Boy Fernandez, his longtime friend, and now guy helps him train alongside Freddie Roach. Better still, these guys let it be known, Manny's not looking at them guys, man, okay? I dare say that a Mikey Garcia fight is more intriguing, is more enticing, is a more worthwhile endeavor to the likes of a Manny Pacquiao, at least from where he's sitting, than Errol Spence. It's more intriguing because Manny, like anybody knows, in this market, the driving force in the American market are Mexican-American fans. And Mikey's got them. Okay, so they might look at that as a more worthwhile endeavor than fighting either Sean, Errol, Ugas, any of the other guys that the PBC's got in their welterweight stable. And if they've got to go to DAZN to do it, I'm telling you, DAZN's got the cash that they might actually be able to get Manny Pacquiao to cross over for at least one more fight, for at least one more, to their side of the street. That's right. And that could be devastating to the PBC. Because if the PBC's got anything, the PBC's got the welterweight division. If they've got anything, they've got that division, because there's a number of divisions where they don't got a goddamn fucking thing going on. But at welterweight, at least right now they have most of the talent, minus Mikey Garcia due to recent events. Better still, if they lose Mikey, and subsequent months later lose Manny as well, what the fuck do they got? We don't know the condition of Errol Spence. We don't know how he's going to be when he comes back, if he comes back at all. Where does that leave him? Who does that leave him to fight? I'll tell you, to give him more of an incentive to make that goddamn fucking Terrence Crawford fight, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that fucking shit. I'm telling you, the way this thing is looking, the PBC, for its own survival, is going to have to revoke that quote-unquote island policy of theirs, to where they just try to work within themselves and act like the rest of the boxing world doesn't fucking exist. Maybe it's for this reason we're hearing rumblings that even after the Wilder versus Fury fight, which is basically a co-promotional event, you know, it's Top Rank and the PBC, ESPN, and Fox, they all got their fingers in the same pie. Maybe it's for this reason we're hearing rumblings that even after that fight is over, we're gonna see more of those kinds of fights. Because, respectively, between the two different, banners or promotional outfits, whatever the fuck you want to call the PBC, whatever the fuck they are, right? Them and Top Rank, between each other, yes, together, they can stage some very big fights. But that's been the problem, that there's always been some resistance from the PBC to work with those guys. They hold grudges, and business is business, folks. That's why you gotta put the grudges aside to do what's best for business. Maybe it's for this reason we're hearing these preliminary rumblings that we could be seeing more of those kinds of fights, more of those kinds of cards moving forward. And I'll tell you that as one of the PBC's biggest critics, if that's the case, well, I won't have nothing to complain about, because that's what I've wanted all along. But we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves, aren't we? In regards to what the coming year may bring. There are many moving parts to what is this end game, and a lot has got to come to pass. Certain fights have to be won, certain moves have to be made, certain people have to be schmoozed, and that's the reality of things. So in that way, we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves. For now, what we know is that Mikey Garcia is going to be locking horns with Jesse Vargas in what is Mikey Garcia's DAZN debut. And in all honesty, I like the fight, and here is why. With Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, an obvious discrepancy in size,
Yes.
and an obvious discrepancy in power. I think that Errol Spence as a power puncher is a bit overrated. But against Mikey Garcia, it's pretty obvious that he was the stronger puncher in the ring. And because he was the stronger puncher, Mikey Garcia didn't want to open up on that guy. His offense was all but neutralized. The entire 12-round fight, Mikey Garcia only threw something like 400 punches, a little over 400 punches, and out of the 400, he only landed 75. Whereas Errol Spence threw over 1,000 punches and landed over 300 punches on Mikey Garcia. Errol Spence's punching power definitely got Mikey Garcia's respect. Now with Jesse Vargas, Well, Jesse's not the puncher that Errol is, not in terms of punching power. I think most people would agree that out of Jesse Vargas and Errol Spence, Spence would be the bigger puncher. That adds an intriguing element to Vargas versus Mikey, because against Vargas, maybe Mikey will open up more. Maybe we'll see more of his offense that was all but absent in the Errol Spence fight. When you got that kind of power, and you're fighting a little guy, you know, the little guy doesn't want to open up because he doesn't want to get hit with a shot. So he goes into survival mode. And that's what Mikey was in, you know, covering up, trying to survive, not showing much in terms of offense out there, if anything at all. That's what Errol Spence's power did to Mikey Garcia's offense. It neutralized it. You don't want to go blow for blow with this guy.
You're too small.
Now with Jesse Vargas, the discrepancy in height is similar to what it was in the Spence fight, but Jesse's not the puncher that Errol is. You know, he's a good boxer, he's got boxing acumen, and he is experienced in more than one weight class. More than two, to be honest. So he's definitely a well-rounded fighter who's been around the block, but he's not the biggest puncher. And because he's not the biggest puncher, perhaps Mikey Garcia will be willing to take the chances with Jesse that he couldn't or wouldn't take with Errol. That makes this a better fight than advertised, because there's actually a competitive element. I think it reflects poorly on Errol Spence that he wasn't able to get Mikey Garcia out of there, but better still, Errol is a bigger puncher than Jesse, so if Errol couldn't get Mikey out of there, not much chance Jesse does any better, in which case this thing might actually be a brawl, a barn burner, a fight that might actually be better than advertised. Though at first glance you're thinking to yourself, well, there's no world title on the line, so what's the point in this thing? How could it be a good fight? I'll tell you why it's a good fight. Because Jesse doesn't stand much of a chance of knocking Mikey out, so Mikey might actually be able to do the business. And we'll see how Jesse handles it. It's pretty clear what they've got in mind. They're preparing Mikey Garcia to try and continue to acclimate not only to the welterweight division, but prepare for what could be a Manny Pacquiao fight. Because did you guys forget? Jesse Vargas and Manny Pacquiao already locked horns over 2 years ago, back when Jesse was the WBO champion. This is the ideal scenario, the ideal prelude for what could be Garcia versus Pacquiao. You lock horns with a common opponent, you get experience at the weight, and you get experience for that Manny Pacquiao fight. Experience between two Mexican-American fighters who have a good, solid Mexican-American following that could help sell tickets, that could help drive up subscribers. In all honesty, I think it's a solid fucking plan. It really is. It's almost the perfect plan. But you know, boxing has a way of surprising you. So in spite of this being the perfect plan, or seeming like one, we'll see if this actually works out. We'll see if all these moving parts bring us to Garcia versus Pacquiao. These are just my preliminary thoughts.